Hello, my name is Kelley Cheng, and I'm the founder of the and creative director of the Press Room. The Press Room is a small publishing and design consultancy. Okay, so today I'm talking about branding SML. It's one of the things that branding is one of the things that our consultancy do, apart from designing books, publishing, environmental design, wayfinding, interior film set design, everything, Jill of all trade, right? But today we'll zoom into this branding thing because I assume, can I have a show of hands how many designers there are here today? Okay, quite a lot, wonderful. So I wanted to have a topic that both designers and non-designers can sort of appreciate, because if you're a non-designer, probably you can get an insight to how you can sort of, brand yourself one day or brand your own company, or actually have an insight into how a company actually brand themselves. So branding, despite all the big theories, blah, 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 whatever, actually is a connector. It's a connector between the brand owner to the consumers, as simple as that. So you have to make that connector work. So as designers, it's often our job to design that connector. A person, right, sometimes you just meet a person and then you're very charmed by this person. It can be the looks, beautiful people always, have a sort of head start. You say, wow, very nice. But if she's stupid, she says that, you're like, oh God, On the other hand, if someone who is not so good looking, but really charming, good personality, you'll say, wow, I'm going to marry this guy, right? So as you can see, these two aspects, equally important. Because if you have both, then this guy you will not only marry this lifetime, the next lifetime as well, right? So these two are equally important, the looks and the personality. This is exactly like a brand. Okay, so every time we look at the brand or when we design a brand, it's about bringing the personality out of this brand, right? So you have the visual strategy, which is the looks, and then you have the experience strategy, which is very much the personality of the brand. So this is basically the two things that a designer have to look into. Okay, so I'm going to give you some example why the visual strategy is very important. We have a little exercise in the office. So this is the existing one, and then we redesign it. Looks so much more appealing, right? Left side, Singapore government have some taste issues, right? You know why? Because the cheapest win, right? Whenever you pitch for the job, no need, design strategy, forget it, cheap, So this is what happened, because a printer would usually win the job. Design and print, right? Printing, the markup is already so high, they already earn so much money, they give you the design for free. So they win, they do something ugly like that, but we can actually do something like this. Just pay a little bit more, right? But, too bad. Okay, exercise number 3. This thing, which is a health supplement, most of you take, it looks damn shit, I have the flour and all that. I would be so scared to eat this because it looks like it's made in China. But I can actually design it like this for them. It looks so much more professional, it looks medical, it looks something that is trustworthy. Don't you think this makes a world of difference? This is what design can do. This is what visual strategy can do. This is a cafe that is near our office. Every time we walk by, it's like, Love Me Bakery. Oh my God, it's so terrible. We never step in because it looks so bad, But however, if they had hired us, we could have done something really wonderful for them, Then, it would be a place that we might like to hang out. So you see how a visual strategy can actually change your perception of a brand, right? Or something and all that. This is how important it is. Okay, this is a very good example of experience strategy. All of you must have heard of Scoot by now. They were launched to much fanfare and all that. Everybody is very happy, cheap airfare and all that. But you know what happened? If you look at FlyScoot Facebook, everybody is unhappy. The link doesn't work, my ticket, doesn't work, this doesn't work, really, Scoot is lousy, There are pages and pages and pages of unhappy customers. This is a very big problem because a brand, how you actually market yourself is usually through the touch points, right? So for example, if you open a small shop, your touch point, your shop. Maybe you have a website, maybe you have a social media. Small brand to big brand, same. Okay, so for an airline, what's the most important touch point? All of us book through the web, right? Website, very important. Has to work. If it's not working, don't launch it first. So that's the first touch point, fail, because everybody said lousy, cannot book, cannot whatever, fail. If you're not ready for social media, don't start a page because that is the most ready touch point that everybody can complain. And Singapore, this is Singapore, everybody complains, you know. So you have the whole page full of complaints. And worse still, nobody is managing this page. Sometimes they would have, sometimes they would answer, sometimes they wouldn't answer. And the answering always different. Sometimes they will sign off with thanks, Scoot. Sometimes no thanks, Scoot. Sometimes cheers, Scoot. This is where you have to manage experience down to the detail. How do you reply your emails? How do you reply your customer service? How do you reply your customers' complaints? How do you manage it? And down to also, what's important is there's this Korean lady who is really unhappy. She posted on the site at least 5 to 10 times. I'm not sure if anyone has managed her complaint. She's obviously very, very unhappy. From what I can see, there's no reply to her. They might have replied to her, they might not have. But you should have a system to manage this kind of bad experience. Maybe you should have written to this person directly and said, hey, look, I'm very sorry and all that, I'll give you a free ticket, blah, 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 and all that, just to shut her up. And then you should post it directly on your website and say, dear, whatever, we're giving you a free ticket. If everybody sees that, you can turn a negative experience into a positive one. But apparently nobody is really managing that. So that is a very bad experience design. So in a brand, like I said, it's not just about designing the logo, but it's also about designing the experience for the for the brand owner. Okay, and then the important point that I have realized that from designing brands for people, because we have clients from SML to XL, is that the size of a firm has a direct effect on how much the brand is about the brand owners and how much it is about the target audience. What do I mean? When you have a very small business, let's just say you're a one-man show, the brand is just you. It's you. The logo has to reflect you and, it's all about you. But, like Scoot, if you look at it, why is everybody scolding them? Because the consumers feel that we own the brand, right? That's why they scold you as a brand owner, because the consumer is king, right? They expect you to do everything for them. And this happens, the bigger you get, the more it is so that the consumer owns the brand. But if you're really, really small, you can be the sole owner of the brand. And the other thing is also that as your brand gets bigger, the experience design becomes more important. If you are a really, really small business, it's easy, You don't need to care so much because maybe the number of consumers you have is only 5 or something. So you don't need to manage so much. But when you get bigger, that becomes really important. So for small brands, let's just say you just start a bakery, you run it yourself and all that. It's really all about you. The brand should reflect your personality. And for us, I do quite a lot of these small brand things, usually for friends, usually for free, for favors. It's very fun because usually for this kind of jobs, I would say that you must give me a free hand, otherwise there's nothing for me because it's not about the money, right? This is an architect's name card. Architects always forget to bring their scale rule. So the card itself becomes a scale rule. There's actually 4 different scales there. And for this, I designed it for free, but I get free stays in London every time I go there, so not bad. This is a food business, one of my best friends. So her surname is Fu, so as you can see, it becomes like that, and then with the smiley face. For this, I get free cupcakes for the rest of my life, so it's really wonderful as well. So she told me, she said, I'll keep baking for you until you beg me to stop. So that's wonderful. Okay, this is a tattoo shop. This is really funny. There's actually this guy near my office. He's Ah Beng. And he really come in with cash, $500. He said that this is all I have. It's a lot of money for him. And he said, can you do a logo for me? I was like, sure, but I was being very nice, honorable. I said, keep your money first. Let me design first, So I designed, and then we did the tattoo gun thing and all that. And we did try to apply it on the t-shirt. And then this logo for him. And then when I contacted him, he disappeared. So I was like, damn it, lesson learned. Always take the money and run. This one is for, again, another good friend who is a dancer. It's quite funny because she's tone deaf. So there's a long passage there about how she can dance really well, but she can't bloody sing, right? So again, it's very, very personalized. All the cards you have seen so far is very, very personalized. And this is even DIY because dancers have no money, you see. So she can actually print it out on her own, and then she can cut out this thing. So for this, I get free dance performance for the rest of my life. And that's not bad, right? Okay, anyway, this is my own, so I will skip it a bit. Okay, lessons from designing for small brands. If there's money, no matter how little, take it, okay? Tattoo shop. If there's no money, ask for staff. If all else fails, ask for sexual favors at least. But seriously, I mean for small brands, always ask for a free hand to design whatever you like. Because it's the most fun. I had the most fun designing for small brands because it's very personal and you can always have the most the most pure ideas. Because once you have a real client, they will say change this, change that, change, right? But when people are not paying, they are a little bit nicer, you know what I mean? Okay, so M brand, okay, when you design for like medium-sized company, I mean of course there are many tiers, but I'm just generalizing it for this 20-minute talk. So for M-size firm, you have maybe like 20 to 50 people, something like that. It's very much, when you design it, you still have to think about the owner. Your interaction is mostly still with the owner because it's still very much about this brand owner, one guy, it's still about me. And I really want you to like me, So they are usually for this kind of owners because they sort of made it. They made it. So they have a lot of ego, they are very proud. And so, but at the same time, if there are already 20 to 50 staff, they are trying to gain a bigger following. So they do want the brand to sort of reach out to more people. When you want a brand to reach out to more people, unfortunately, it cannot be as personalized as the small size one. Because that can be, take it or leave it, this is me. But here you have to sort of like take a step back and say, okay, it's a bit about the consumers as well and my clients. Okay, so this is an example of a sort of M-size one. They have about 20 people. And when they rebranded, previously it was Zhong Architects. And Zhong in Chinese, which is the owner's name, is middle. So when they rebranded into Zach Collaborative, the key thing that I want to bring out in this is actually the Z, which is the Hanyu Pinyin Zhong Z in the center. So no matter how you flip it, front and back, the Z is always in the center. So it's very much still about the owner. And of course, architect only wears black, right? So it should be black and all that. So this is the logo. 15 minutes. This is actually my own sort of restaurant, and of course I did all the branding. I think what's important about the restaurant is that to share is that more important than designing the logo. This is really about designing the experience. For example, we go through the same problem when people face, we have social media, we have website, we have the service staff and all that. What is more important about this is about designing how to handle the clients. What do you do when someone returns a dish and say this sucks? If you don't train the staff, they can really tell people go to hell. You know what I mean? You never know. So you have to write exactly for them that, okay, if someone returns something, if someone posts, we do have a lot of posting on Facebook, like, oh, we're not happy about this, not happy about that. So it's about writing the manual of managing the experience. So this is very important. A very good example is Amex. I don't know how many of you have called Amex before. I think they have one of the best experience design. All the touch points are very, very well managed. Every time I call Amex, I said, hey, I'm late for payment, but can you waive this interest charge? They always said, yes, ma'am, no problem. Anything else can I do for you? Yeah, make me a sandwich. Sure, yes, ma'am, can. Everything they said, yes, ma'am, can. If they really don't know, they will say, let me look into this and I'll get back to you. And they get back to you the next day. you know. A lot of, you know, we all make complaints in our lives, like especially telco companies are the worst, you know. You call and call and call, and then the guy can actually say, oh, it's you again, you know. You're like, what the hell? So that's really, you know, very bad experience, right? So you see, the thing is that why is it important to write a manual to train your staff? Because sometimes what you think is really common sense, people just either they don't bother or they don't whatever. For example, sometimes you ask your secretary, you say, hey, you know, this client hasn't paid me for a long time, you know. Can you please write him an email and chase for the money, you know. If you don't have a system of how you write to customer to chase money, like for example, your StarHub, whatever, they will say, oh, dear customer, you must have overlooked this, whatever, and all that, so can you pay, you know. So this is a form of experience design, right, because you design the letter. Because if you don't, your secretary might write to your client and say that, hey, if you don't pay up, I'm going to kidnap your dog, right? So you're like, what the hell, why do you want the dog, right? You say, okay, if you don't pay up, I'm going to kidnap your wife. And you say, that's it, he's not going to pay forever. So you really have to tell them and say, look, okay, let's make this consistent. If you don't pay up, I'm going to beat the shit out of you, okay? Let's go with that, always, you know. So you have to teach them exactly what to write. Okay, so this is just a quick glimpse of it. Okay, so lessons with designing for M-size brand, right? Be ready always to deal with some egos, because these are people who, as I said, just made it. And they feel that, wow, you know, I'm so successful now, I have 50 people under me, I'm the king of the world, right? Correct or not? So be careful, deal with some ego. And for this kind of client, they already made it, they have money. So take only money and reject any sexual favors. Even if they're very good looking, control yourself. Take only money. Okay, so the client is, as it's not going to be an easy lay job, right? This kind of client, if, you know, we always joke like designers are like prostitutes, right? Because you have to compromise and all that. And if we are a prostitute to the M-size client, be ready to do Kama Sutra, and then you do and they still say, I haven't come yet. So very sad. So be careful about this. Okay, so for most of this M-size owner, they will always be your co-creative director. They will tell you, you know, this, right? So be prepared for that. Okay, large size. For large size film, when you brand, it's really always about not just the owner anymore. The Scoot example, Amex example, is really about you and me, okay? Because the consumer start to feel that they own the brand, right? And this becomes very important to sort of design down to the detail. All of you must have gone to Uniqlo before, right? The moment you step in, wow, welcome to Uniqlo, welcome to Uniqlo, you know. This didn't happen by accident. In fact, even the tone of how they say it, you know, typical Singaporean, if you go, welcome to Uniqlo, right? Low, right? But no, everybody says, welcome to Uniqlo, you know. So it's design, even the tone of it. So this is how much detail experience design is about. So when you're at this level, a large size film, and you're a designer, you have to be very mindful about designing down to the details of the experience. So because you want to project the message of this brand that we care deeply for you and we want you to like us. Okay, I had an experience of branding for a big group before because I was a group creative director. Page 1, you all must have heard of it before. Before rebranding, which is, this happens about 12 years ago, it's still very dark, very old-fashioned, you know, it's really starting to get quite dated. I was in a very good position to brand it because I was internal. It's very hard sometimes as an external consultant, and I go to a brand, and I say, this sucks, that sucks, everything sucks, right? And they get really angry. You know, they start to get a bit personal and say, oh, you know. But you see, actually, sometimes it takes a third party to diagnose your brand. It's like maybe you are a very stubborn person, right? But you won't know. You just think that it's all right, you know, and only your best friend can tell you, hey, you're bloody stubborn, you know, and maybe you will listen. But if it's someone you do not know, come to tell you and say that you are so stubborn, you'll just say, you know, go away, you know, you're not my friend. So I had the advantage of being the internal whatever, and the moment the CEO said, you know, you have full license to do whatever you want. So I can actually conduct workshops, talk to the ground staff, talk to the senior staff, talk to everybody to actually design a whole experience and new look. Okay, so the look, the visual strategy for big brands, usually try to keep it quite simple because you don't want anything too complicated and nobody can even read like, huh, what's that brand, you know, very difficult. So it's always straight to the point. So this one, because the brand has been around for 20 years before I joined, I didn't want to change the logo, but I was given actually full liberty to change the logo, even the name of the group if I wanted to. But I decided to keep it and just give a more refreshing and more contemporary color tone because people already recognize the logo. Why should I change it? You know, you're actually doing yourself a disservice and taking a step back. So in terms of visual strategy, this is what we do, you know, come up with brand menu, you can do this, you cannot do this, we redesign the name card, everything is very, very detailed. And then in terms of the marketing collaterals and all that, we also start to clean up the look. The only thing that takes a bit more adventurous are the promo materials, where you don't want to always, you know, you want some surprises every now and then. So these are all the ad hoc promotions. These are also some of the ad hoc promotions. I actually was very lucky. I even get to dictate how the shop should start to look like because we actually start to have guidelines in the style guide that the brand should always be against a white or a black background and all that. So all the shops start to take on this white and wood look. And this was actually a very detailed brief given to the architect how it should start to look. So you can see all the brands start to be different. So Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, we actually had a brand new rebranding. But what is more important and more interesting about this exercise is that we actually has developed a whole manual of how the staff, the ground staff, should greet the customers, how they should behave whenever, if you have been to page 1, you realize whenever you're taking a lot of books, someone would just appear by your side and say, let me take this for you. This is designed. It is designed. And there is even a style manual to say how they should look. Girls, no dangling earrings. And if you go to page 1, you will see every girl has to tie up their hair if they are long hair. So it's down to this detail that I have to design and how, when they should receive a call, what they should say and all that, you know. So this was a very interesting exercise that is really, to me, more importantly than the visual strategy that you see. So we try to achieve that. Both are equally nice, right? You have a nice visual strategy and you have a nice experience strategy. So lessons. For large scale company, because if you're CXOs, right, your CEO, your COO, your whatever, so the level of approval more than kueh lapis. So for me, like I said, I'm lucky because I'm internal, but I have to go through the same process of getting approvals. But if you are actually designing for a brand that you do not work there, it's even more difficult. So be prepared for a really long time, you know, for this project. The visual strategy should be simple and to the point. As I said, you don't want to confuse people. You don't want to have a very complicated logo where people cannot remember. Because it's very important to design a logo that people can look at it and they capture it within seconds. That would be successful, right? The experience strategy can be as complex and take a long time to develop. Like what I showed you as an example just now when we developed the page 1 strategy, it took years. Because the visual strategy is actually a little bit simpler, but the experience strategy, you can get it wrong sometimes. And if you get it wrong, you must be ready to be quick to fix it. Like the Scoot one, they are taking their own sweet time. Someone should really fix that, you know what I mean? So that's why it takes a very long time, because it's a little bit trial and error as well. So if you're lucky, the project might just complete on your 80th birthday. Hence ask for a lot of money, because you might be abandoned by them, by your heartless kids and all that. Okay, XL. Really, really large branding, can be for the world, actually. We have done branding for festivals, and recently for the Singapore Pavilion in Korea. It's really about you when you do festival. You want every single person to see it and identify with it, and they feel happy about it. Okay, so it's not really about the brand owners, because these people for like really big festivals, they don't really make money. And like example of Scoot, like I said, consumers feel that they own the brand. So it really has to be about them. They have to identify with it. But of course, it will squeeze a little bit of, you know, your own sort of personality of the brand in there. Going to run very quickly here. These are some of the festivals that we have a brand for. I like Marina Bay, which is a light art festival. There's always a lot of small things, you know, tags, and then this is light boxes to show the artworks, and these are some of the supporting posters and all that. This is the Singapore Pavilion in Yosu, which we did recently, which the audience is really the world. So they want something vibrant and all that, where everybody look at it and with love and all that. So it's always thinking of the customers, you know. We did the website, we did supporting graphics. This is the pavilion. This is the actual how it was built. All the graphics are done by us, the branding and all that. This is a bit of the inside where you can see all the wayfinding and all that. Okay, conclusion. Design a brand is really about dealing with personalities, egos and all that. It's not an easy job because it's very personal and people feel like, oh, this brand must be forever, no? Like, it's not trendy 3 years later, whatever and all that. So you have to sort of go through this thing where everybody is seeking for perfection, which really doesn't exist, right? You know what I mean? So it's really tough when you brand. So my advice is, when you take on a branding job, drink a lot of alcohol. It helps. If all else fails, drink rat poison. But seriously, I mean, actually, if you really don't enjoy this, don't be a designer. Be a property agent or just move to Brazil, party all day, wear bikini. So, you see, so I think for design, whether your brand is SML or whatever, always be very intuitive and always go, you know, try to understand the client and all that, because really you are working for this client, right? It's not, the brand is not about you. So, Bruce Lee quote, be like water, my friend. Okay, bye-bye, see you again. Thank you so much. Thanks.